live from Crawford Studios
with CC and NJ Guy.
Woohoo!
So what's going on, gentlemen?
Everything just trying to be warm, man, because it's crazy cold out here.
Yeah, we're
What's the word now? It's brick outside.
Ooh, I
I
think
still
it's meant to
say
be.
it's
I
cold
think
as
it's still,
shit.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
always
still
say that.
brick. It's still cold as a
Brick
witch's
outside.
tit.
What's
Remember
that?
that? So cold they could cut glass with these nibbles.
Wow.
whoa.
It's excited to be here.
What are we talking about this evening?
You always hear through history all these like eccentric artists. You hear weird stuff about them, and so we all picked like an artist that we want to talk about
Okay.
that
Yep,
are eccentric.
Yep.
The little
Well,
talking
eccentric,
about
I know.
the-
Well, mine isn't
But-
so much eccentric. Mine was just,
Right.
I was just a fan of this one.
or yeah,
Fair enough. You can still be a fan of the
or
other
kind of
ones.
about their
Oh, yeah,
history too.
definitely.
So
Huh?
yeah, about their history too. Not
But
just
yeah,
about
I think the
being
reason I was thinking about it is because of the conversation we had with Zoe when she was
Yeah.
on last time. We were talking about Picasso and how he saw himself. Remember?
the Minotaur.
We were talking about that, and I was like, "Oh, why don't we just have a conversation on different artists?" Kind of gave me the idea, so I thought it'd be good. So we'll start with Picasso, shall we?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right.
All right,
Do you?
let's go.
Get her done.
Picasso, born in 1881,
All right.
Malaga, Spain, Malaga.
Uh-huh.
Died in 1973. Lived to 91, rare for artists of his era. One of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Worked in painting, sculptures, ceramic, printmaking, stage design, co-founder of Cubism, which changed art forever. Created an estimated 50,000 plus works, insane outputs. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But now, that just the paintings, or was that also the...
Well, I guess with everything that we just mentioned.
Well, you know what's a funny thing that he used to do, Picasso? He he was so famous and his ego was so inflated. When he would like pay for like bills, he would draw people a sketch and give it to them. Be like cheapskate,
dude. Well, no,
And-
not anymore.
And you know what? Yeah, and you know what?
Can you imagine having one of those now?
Yes.
John Lovitz on SNL did a skit with him. He goes, "I'm Picasso," and he's like, and he wouldn't pay for shit, and he would just
forgot
write
about
sketches
that.
and give them the view.
That's
Here's
right.
a sketch of Picasso.
I forgot about that one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That shit was funny. That was a good one. But then that's super ego, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's just...
Well, he did so much. Yeah, with the fingers touching.
No, that's the Sistine
Da
Chapel.
Vinci did that.
Da
You're talking
Vinci.
about Da Vinci.
Oh,
did
I'm
that.
talking about Da Vinci. Okay, yeah.
Talking
The
about
fingers
with the-
touching.
with
Yeah, the guy
yeah,
like this.
with the-
It's a Sistine Chapel, who was the at the church.
Right.
The fingers touching
Right.
the angels and whatnot. God.
Wow, just to paint that, to have the talent. to
Yeah,
do
well, they
that.
said that's how he started to go blind. Him and the other painters that were there, because they were on their back painting, and the paint was falling into their eyes
Faces.
and on their faces and whatnot. And that's why toward the end of his,
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah,
I didn't even know he was going blind, honestly.
yeah,
Until you said that now.
would be going blind, and then we said
Didn't have goggles then.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, you would have thought they would have thought of it because there were so many geniuses back
Yeah,
then.
no,
No one was
because it
worried
ruins-
about protecting their eyes. I
Yeah,
guess.
but
Right.
because you see, but it ruins their creativity
No,
because they
I
can't
don't
see
think so.
because of the glasses.
I
No,
would've
them in
just-
their own head. Not
I
I
would've-
would have because of their ego. The ego
all
would get
day.
I
away.
would have invented something like glass with a strap on it, like a flat piece of glass.
like
So-
the mask.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but think of how many times they probably would have like, no, it's annoying. It's
Well, their
cumbersome.
breath would probably.
Yeah, and
you
then
know,
fog it all up
fog
and
it,
whatnot, and then but then that's what they would probably make it shorter to make it the glasses and like goggles and such.
Yeah.
But again, it's like anything else. We think of all the other artists that have to be in a certain state of mind, we'll call it,
Yeah.
when they're making music, when they're acting,
Right.
when they're painting, even athletes. Everything is they have to keep that same thing going because like they feel like it's part of the how they win.
Yeah.
It's like breaking that curse. It's that routine that they have to stay doing all the time.
Right.
Picasso, a painter, most artists, they have that something.
50,000 works? Is that what they
50,000
said?
works. Now, that's what I'm saying. 50,000 works. Are we going to say like part of his sketches? Is it the actual
That would be
painting?
everything.
Yeah, see?
Everything.
That's a
Because
busy dude.
it doesn't say so many watch. So
Right,
I'm
right,
assuming it's
okay.
everything total.
Yeah. That's
Right.
insane.
Yeah.
And his stuff is still that, like, I guess we'll say valuable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's crazy. 50,000.
Yeah, they said he reinvented himself constantly.
Yeah, okay.
He never stayed in one style too long.
That's serious.
And treated art like an experimentation, not tradition, broke perspective, showed multiple viewpoints at once, didn't paint what things look like, painted what they felt like. And also, he was like, dating women younger than him. So,
but that was the thing of the times, though, too, bro. You know, older man, more established, and I'm going to marry you off.
Oh,
for
I'm not saying it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
We talked about that too when Zoe was on. How old was he again?
Oh, he was like twice her age. Was he in like his 50s and she was in like her 20s
Like
or
20s
like
or
late
something like
teens
that,
or
right?
Yeah,
like that?
you see? Yeah. There's songs about stuff like that, bro. You know what I mean? About just living like that. But that's a different episode. That's a different episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I mean, like, all right. So does it say there what was one of his other? Yeah, what was his famous?
Well, hang on. Obsessive worker, painted daily, compulsively. Didn't believe in inspiration. Saw women as muses, not equals. He openly admitted women fueled his creativity, love, and control. See, so it did have some kind of effect, even though he didn't treat him well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was a horn dog.
Yeah. Creative one.
Yeah. He had skills. That's a gift, you know? Listen, you know, there's, I think that...
I don't have a problem with it. But for the time, it's what it is.
Yeah, and that's just, exactly, it was what it was, but he had skills and whatever it was. Like, think about it. Some people, what they've done in history, doing some kind of drugs to turn around and bring that creativity out. Whether it was making music or painting, you know what I mean? That's what they did. They would get high in colors.
He was making love to a young woman.
Yeah. But he used them as in his paintings. He used her so that then that's when he drew her, he made her extra whatever and the background vibrant. And like doing all those things that caught your eye when you saw it up. Like, oh, how does that make you feel? Randy, baby.
So I said it has many lovers, though.
Do I make you Randy?
We'll make you Randy.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's like a baby holding an apple.
Yeah. All right,
it's like a tripod.
He had many lovers, dated very young women. Some relations began when women were in their late teens, emotionally abusive, manipulative, control, psychologically damaged to partners. Several women have suffered breakdowns. 2 attempted or committed suicide. Often cruel, sad, disturbing things about women. Oh, wow. He was He was a piece of work.
Wow.
Being machines for suffering.
Can you separate the art from the artist? I don't know.
Well, we do it all the time, don't we?
Well, but again,
yes, we do.
We do it now.
How do we do it? And what genre?
Music.
Yep.
We're doing it right now in music.
How many people can you think of music that were super creative but wound up turning out to be horrible human beings?
Yeah, there you go. Again, but it's because of that mental. You know what I mean? They people like, I mean, I've heard that. You look at people that have, I'm going to say disabilities. And, you know, in a sense of like, they don't have their social cues. You know what I mean? But they're cool people, but their social cues are off. So then my point is that here you have an artist, a painter, and he was a great painter.
But he was a piece of shit.
But he was a piece of shit because he didn't think about how he was treating these people or these women.
About himself.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Self-centered, narcissist. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
That's where his mental was.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. That's
just
what
to
it
be
is.
a douche.
It's totally what it is. It's a Jersey guy over here.
Jersey guy. So I
Jersey
wanted to
guy.
talk about Mr. Vincent Van Gogh.
There we go. Here we go.
Here we go. So a lot of people, when they talk about Vincent van Gogh, they the first thing always comes up, oh yeah, he cut off his ear,
right? Or
he was a crazy artist, or he died poor, but he was famous later, right? But he wasn't crazy, right? So he was obsessive. He made 900 works in 10 years.
What?
So yeah, and he typically painted like the same thing a lot. Like he painted sunflowers, fields, his bedroom. He was just like, he would paint like the same thing but several times, right?
No shit. But
it would always be different.
Yeah.
Somehow, some little way, there would be differences in it, which would be really cool, of course, if you can point them out.
Yeah.
So he would paint the same things over and over and over, sometimes a couple times a day. So this was hyper-focus. He was very hyper-focused on what he was doing. He did use color as an emotion. When if you see some of his works have like a lot of yellow in them, that was like for more intensity.
Yeah.
And then the blue ones, like, you know, the famous like Starry Night, that was more like loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Painting out of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Painting out of whatever they're feeling, which is incredible to even able to articulate that and put it up, you know, like this is what I'm feeling. This is what I see. This is how it
Right.
looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what, and you're like,
And that was good,
wow.
Lou. I felt that one right there when you said that. I was like, yeah, to be able to see that. Because, all right, so you and I are super into music. Tom, well, into like the freestyle and
right,
stuff.
all that.
Tom's in his, what he listens to. And
Many genre.
it's funny how we feel when we listen to that music. You know what I mean? It usually pulls us out of whatever little funk that we might be in, that little like, and we start hearing, we're like, come into my arms, baby. I know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's, so, I could almost, now I'm not artistic as such, I just think I'm a funny guy, but it's crazy how how much more these artists feel what they're doing, how they feel their passion. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
Right. You can interpret what it is.
Yeah. Like you could see their painting and like, oh, I understand those colors, blah, 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 blah. That's more like, he was feeling sad. He was in his moment. So that makes sense. But then he did a whole bunch of other things though, right? Because he didn't just
what did they say? What was it? Over 900? Is that what you said?
910 years.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So then so now he didn't just do because he was an inventor too, no?
And what was his time, Tom?
No,
what was his era?
He was born 1853 and died in 1890.
Okay.
Not very
long.
No.
He didn't live very long.
Nope.
Yeah.
That was short.
Because of all the lead paint.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Is that what happened?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of issues. I mean, he did have a drinking problem. He had issues with malnutrition
and mutilation.
Everybody always brings up the ear incident, but a lot of that shit was going on in his life, and it kind of just, it's a downward spiral. That's what happens to some people.
Well, and I'm wondering if the paint, because like I said, so everything that we hear about, the painting and stuff like that, said painting,
the lead possibly,
the lead could have messed him up. Food and stuff, it wasn't the same way because he was so. According to what we've read, he's so out there, with a lot of his stuff. Maybe, just malnutrition and stuff is what made him, lose his mind a little bit.
Or combination of things, right?
Yeah. That could have been a whole
for that time,
gang of shit.
And who knows what his upbringing was going on. What he experienced in life. We carry shit with us all the time,
Dude, it's insane.
How good and bad. We go through it and it's a freaking balancing act.
Yeah.
So some people have a lot more than others. I guess he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But his painting definitely for sure was great to look at because it's just, like you said, kind of see what he was doing or what he was thinking at that time.
And a lot of his nature paintings, a lot of people, when people look at nature, most people say, oh, it's calming.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, and when you look at his paintings, nature is very chaotic and angry and moving. And nature for him was for some reason just, if you base it on his artwork,
right?
For some reason, he just didn't see it as calming. So like maybe he's overstimulating.
Right. Have you ever gone to the museum and seen his stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did it make you feel when you were there?
Yeah, it's really like you're like
you in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too? Well,
I almost got my ass kicked in the museum. Because,
wait,
time out. We're going to hear this story.
Yeah.
No.
Sidebar.
You can't just mention that now without
I was physically removed from the museum.
Okay.
Bro.
So what did you do?
I walked over to the picture and was just kind of looking at it.
Right.
Like I was looking at it. And I got too close.
Oh, okay.
And muscle came out from everywhere. I was like, whoa, I'm sorry, man. I did not touch it. I was totally my bad.
That's a good one. I think you're going to say that, you stood in front of it and somebody says, hey, get out of the way, sir.
No.
It
was something because I got too close to the art.
Yeah.
The security came out immediately, man. No,
I'm saying, whatever. We thought it was going to be a good story. Some old lady
like, a good story. Freaked the shit out of me because I was never in a museum before. And
okay.
So for me, it was the first. Nobody told me the etiquette of what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. You know what I mean? I was just.
So while you were looking at that and these muscles came out of nowhere,
I realized I wasn't supposed to be doing that.
No, I'm saying. So how did it make you feel, Lou?
When you saw that,
nervous. Now, when you see that painting now,
long distance.
Oh my God.
So you don't have those feelings anymore.
That was the experience I had. So
that's great. That's a good one, though. I like that.
Right. That's fun.
I like it. That's a good one.
That's fun. His paintings, they did portray that.
What was the reason he did the ear, though? I mean, it's important to mention it because he is famous for that and most famous for that, as well as his paintings, of course.
Yeah.
But I think he sent it to somebody, didn't he?
He lost his mind. He was going through a lot of shit.
I thought he was trying to paint his ear. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was looking at it to copy it more like the
I thought he
realism.
was sending it to somebody.
Yeah.
Because he was a woman or something, or a lover or something. What's the deal? What did they say?
So what had happened was,
So he cut off his left ear and wrapped it in paper and gave it to a woman at a brothel. This is Rachel.
All right.
Her name was Rachel. Yeah.
Wow.
I hear that.
Can you imagine doing that, though? You got to be in a
dude.
totally... But think of the state of mind. Here's a guy who's got all this talent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's got all this shit going on in his life. He's depressed. Whatever is going on, for him to even think of having to cut his ear off.
Yes. Yep. And even think about it, bro, because now you're saying that he gave it to a chick at the brothel,
right.
you know?
To get into that ear, man.
Well, because I'm saying STDs were running rampant.
Okay.
So there's some STDs that will mess with your brain.
Oh, I see what you. So if you got syphilis,
right? So he had whatever that then that could have been.
They didn't use birth control or anything.
Right, none of that. Yeah.
They may have had it, but I don't think it was as abundant as it is now.
I'm sure. No.
And he died when he was 37 years old.
You see, bro?
Shit.
Young.
You see?
Really young.
So I'm just saying, dude.
You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I always pictured him as an old person. I don't know why. The name Van Gogh, it just sounds old. Like Van Gogh.
Great name, though.
Yeah.
I would picture someone 37.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. Just like somebody like,
I pictured like an old, especially the ear part.
Mm-hmm.
I was pictured like an old man doing that.
Right.
Like senile old man.
Yeah. Not like a 30-year-old guy doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like, nah, man, what the hell are you thinking? Right? Yeah. Can you hear me talking to you now? Nope. Cut that shit off and give us to some chick. Later for that, man. That's insane. That's bananas.
I mean,
so what are his paintings worth now? They got to be worth
millions, bro.
Right? Like priceless.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Well, between the both of them, what's his name?
Either one of them.
Yeah.
You think?
I don't know.
Do you think Picasso would be more or we're in the same ballpark, do you think?
In the same ballpark. But I also believe, too, I'm a firm believer.
You think Van Gogh wouldn't beat out only because of who Van Gogh was at the time and how he painted? Well, maybe two different painters, but yeah, I would think maybe. You might be right.
I'm almost saying because one man's trash is another man's, treasure. You know what I mean? So people are going to pay for what it is.
That's true.
We like you like DC. I'm into Marvel. You know, we're all into Star Wars and Star Trek. We would turn around and pay $200 for official Captain Kirk, action figure.
Yeah,
but then somebody else is like, I wouldn't give you $5 for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on who feels whatever.
The eye of the beholder, right.
Yeah. Because like we're saying, so you guys had picked yours. My guy was Jackson Pollock. And he's an abstract painter. When I went to the museum and I saw his stuff up, I was stuck. Like, I just don't know what it was. And it's the guy whose paintings, like, you see them and it's just like, looks like splatter, like kind of like paint splatter and stuff all over. And for me, that I felt more than what, the Van Gogh or Da Vinci. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't this. I just sat there and just stared at him.
Really?
But that was, just me. And he wasn't like as eccentric as like your guys, I guess,
Well, that's not to say that. You don't know.
Well, he was an alcoholic.
Okay. Well, he did have
You see what I'm saying?
issues.
Yeah. So, and he died at 44. He was 44 years old. He was drunk in the car and crashed the car. Not went to anybody else, just the car crashed and he died. You know what I mean? So, but again, that goes back to what I'm saying, what I said earlier. They all have their vices, you know, whether it's some kind of drug or alcohol, this is just, where they were. 44 years old, bro. And what it says, famous for developing the drip technique. That was his thing. 1947 and 1950, that was his thing. By pouring paint onto large floor-laid canvases.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Does he have the one where the paint cans would swing as well? Did he do that too?
I don't know if he did. It doesn't say that if he did.
I have seen people
do that too. It's pretty cool the way they do that. The art comes out really nice. The colors are really awesome.
Yeah. I have a T-shirt of it. So if anybody's watched the podcast before, it's a black T-shirt and it's the beige canvas with black and white paint on it. Like I said, there's the splashes and whatnot.
What's his art going for?
So when I looked before, his art, bro, was going for millions.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them. Matter of fact, there's a TV show, the movie with Ben Affleck, and that he's the assassin. He's a killer. I can't remember the name of the movie right now. The Accountant, yes. Okay. So in the movie The Accountant, he gives this girl that he meets in the movie an original Pollock. And that's the one that, so if anybody's seen it. Okay. So that's the picture that he gives to her and it was the when she got the painting, when she opened up the package, she was looking at it and she started to kind of chuckle because it was the dogs playing poker or something like that. And then when she's looking at it and she peels back, now it's that she sees that it's the original Pollock that he had hanging on his ceiling because he would lay down and look at it. It was hanging in the ceiling in his trailer. Yeah. I was like, that's the shit. Cause that's my t-shirt.
Nice.
I was like, that's official. So, so it said personal struggles throughout his life. Pollock battled alcoholism and depression, which often led to volatile behavior. So with that, that's probably why he painted the way he did. Cause, drinking or whatever in that moment, he's just like throwing the paint around and boom, 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 and emotion all day long. And like I said, I didn't know this when I saw his artwork at the museum. So then now here it is. I'm like, damn, I'm feeling this. This is really cool. Like I'm digging it. And now finding out, like I said, that he was the alcoholic and depressed and shit. I'm like, damn, now I really understand. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those, man. And, and it's a lot of his paintings, the different colors that he used, it was different color canvases, with the different color paints, I said black and white was one of them. Right. The one I have, the t-shirt on is beige. There was another one that it was a red background. Dude, it was insane. Like just all of them. And it's just, for me, I was just stuck. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's good when you find something that you connect with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And it's nice, you identify with something.
Yeah.
With that particular piece of art or music or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
How many times you hear artists say about songs that they made that they wrote it for one thing, but heard people use it or interpret it differently for the things that were going on in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the song was able to reach out to everybody in their own different way, the way they listen to it, how they hear it.
Well, when you see, going by what you just said now, and it's the truth, they say, when the artists are in the studio, a lot of the times it's like, feel that song. Like, you can sing this song. It's like, Uptown Girl, you've been living in an uptown. It's like, nah, dude, feel that. Think about when you were, looking at that girl, like, but you just felt like she was out of your reach, uptown. Now you just get that, boom, you get that feeling, you know what I'm saying? You get that love. Mary J. Blige, basically all of her music was, her life, how she was living and how people treated her and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just all those things that they feel it. And then you feel it because that's how we made the mixtapes back in the 80s. You know what I mean?
The mixtapes.
That's how you made those mixtapes, bro. Or just, you just put your little
listen
compilation.
To the radio.
Yeah, listen, you wait for that song, click, and then you stop it or whatever, And
my God.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I said earlier, bro. It's just crazy how things get to you, how you feel.
The emotion comes over. Like there are certain songs I can hear, and till this day, it will still get me teary-eyed.
Yeah.
When I hear it. So my thing is, I think about artists who are there songs that they do, and there's got to be that when they sing them, that they have to somehow control themselves, be disciplined in the sense where they don't get emotional singing it. You know what I'm saying? In other words, they don't feel, because sometimes you could feel that emotion if you're singing something, overcome you, and you can get emotional. I wonder how artists go about doing that without that song affecting them like that.
I'm trying to think of artists that I've seen actually tear up, while singing a song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they didn't fully let it go.
Right. So I think that's just more of the control at that moment.
Right.
Like they can control their, they can control themselves just for that. They'll still cry, like, they'll still tear up or whatever, but they won't crack,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Because there are people that even sing the,
because when you hear a certain song, you're like,
think about people that tear up when they hear the national anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that really? Depending on who's singing it, that they'll, that you'll get that feeling. You know what I mean? Mariah Carey, she'll hit some notes and you're like,
to this day, it's still Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Whitney Houston, yeah.
She did the best one.
Who, like, you got to get chills. Oh, you mean for the national anthem? Yeah. But look at when she sings, what's the Bodyguard. And now she turned around and when she hits that
song, wasn't it?
Who does it? Yeah. But I'm saying when Dolly Parton sings it, you don't get that. Yeah. It was a whole different sound, different.
She put her style on it.
Right.
Style on it. Dolly Parton loved it too.
Yeah. And when Whitney Houston did it, I don't know anybody who hasn't, that's like, man, I feel that. Whether, you get the chills or whatever.
There are certain songs that'll do that to you. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
You just like, you feel that. You feel, and like I said, so now us talking about the artist, you know what I mean? That's like, I would love to have a Pollock hanging in my fucking living room, dude. Oh my God.
I would like to have a Van Gogh.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, no, you can't say, you never know. Because like I said, for me with the Pollock.
I'll just get the print and I'll put it up on my wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all the same thing,
I already have the Schnauzer version. So.
That's what I'm saying. There's a way to get it. There's a way to have the image. Of course, an original.
Right here.
Yes, there it is. That's the one.
Nice.
Worth millions. Yes. You just, it's always something. And I think it's pretty, groovy. I appreciate the artists, you know what I mean? And they're, I feel bad that they felt depressed.
It just goes to show you that just because they're artists doesn't make them
superhuman.
Right.
Yeah.
They got shit going on in their lives, or they've had baggage already before they got famous. It's like everything else. They're like everybody else, only they're just making more money and having live a lot better than we do.
Exactamundo.
But still, when you think about it, even it doesn't do anything. It may help for a little while in the long run. It makes you comfortable and everything, right? But think about it. How many times do some people had to go into rehabs to do that shit? Well, but no big deal. You do what you got to do and they get through it.
Yep.
It shows you that nobody is above. Everybody's human. So regardless of how much money and everything you make.
Nope. And that's just 3, artists that we just
talked
picked off about.
Yeah, but
so imagine
we're talking about the music and stuff we grew up with too.
Well, no,
right?
I'm saying like that's just 3 artists that we were talking about. There are so many great painters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That it's like, whoa. You almost think about how many of them were feeling in those ways, the depression. Which one of them was actually feeling great and loved to paint, and that's all they wanted to do. They only wanted to paint. Like they didn't have any issues. They didn't
have to worry about iPads and phones and all that shit and everybody calling them.
Right.
They were too focused in on what they wanted to get done.
Because see, like even too, some people call graffiti writing that is just graffiti.
No, I think it's art.
It's an art. Art.
Absolute art.
It's an art form.
We grew up in the time of when it started.
I don't know. Sometimes there's like weird tags. They're just.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
More of the pieces and stuff.
Yeah, we talk about the pieces, trains. Yeah, the top to bottoms. That was the whole top of the train to the bottom.
Some of the tags are bullshit. But, as far as the styles and everything.
Right.
It's the pieces that I like.
Right. Yeah. When you have those nifty pieces, when they're using some, other cartoon characters. Or they're doing a memorial.
Those people end up getting hired to do like
now they are. They are, and a lot of those guys, a lot of those people,
and things
those
like
kids,
that. Yeah,
yep, they're doing all kind of good shit. There's a couple of them in the city, in New York City.
But what about that famous one of Biggie?
That's in Brooklyn, and that was just some dude that was, he said, boom, boom, threw it up there. There's one of Tupac in L.A.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love when they do that stuff.
Yeah, they got another one. There's one of Michael Jackson. There's a whole bunch. There's all over the place. And there was a hot second in New York City, right? For those who didn't know, that they were thinking about letting artists come and do the trains. And I'm pretty sure they did it for a while.
Okay.
Back in the day, you mean?
I'm talking like late 80s into the 90s.
Well, they were letting them do that. They made them look good. They wouldn't.
Yeah, right. They said, we'll let you guys do this and put them up, but there wasn't enough of the nice ones that the people that came up because, they thought they were going to probably get arrested.
Right, because they were like, they want us to come down and they're going to bag us.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but there was a time that they were looking to do that, different things through, of New York City and have them on the train. I know they've had a couple of painted trains that had gone through, but it wasn't that nifty graffiti of the 70s, like you're looking and you're like, oh, look at that. Like I said, I think I told you guys, I had graffiti in my wall in Brooklyn where I lived. It was this guy had come in. He was from Baruch Projects in Lower East Side in Manhattan. And it was a friend of a friend. And he came over to the house and I think we paid him. My mom gave it to me for let me do it for one of my birthday presents, I think is what it was. And man, it was great. So there was the spray paint. We were in the room. It was a small ass room, and we had to have the windows open.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, man.
Yeah,
it
dude.
Must have stunk.
We had the bedroom door closed and had the fan blowing out in the window to try to pull the air out, just having that little vent drafting. And it was like about maybe 15 of us in the house, and we're in the room, and I had moved all the stuff over.
Oh my God.
And my mom comes in and she's like, what the hell's going on? And then I was like, oh, he came to do the wall. And she was like, and she, cursing that little quick fast in Spanish because we were such a mess.
You see a lot of those guys sometimes wear respirators.
Yeah. Later on, they started to wear respirators.
It's probably the smarter idea.
Yeah, oh, yeah, man.
It's like when it's the artists, like we're talking artists that die from.
Right, that they should have had that protection and shit. Right. It's wild. It's crazy. And I don't know. I enjoy it. I like artwork.
I always like riding on the train and knowing where the pieces were to find. My friend Anthony was good at that. So if we were on the train, he would always know where these secret pieces were and stuff. For like if we were taking certain lines, things like that, he would point them out.
Yeah, and they were daredevils, bro. They were daredevils.
There's ones that you like. How the
hell did they
do that? Right.
Yeah,
I know some of them have to do them upside down.
Yes,
because when they hang from bridges and shit like that.
Yeah,
right in their minds.
Yeah. All day out of their freaking minds.
You have to have someone they trust to hold their leg sometimes and shit.
Listen.
Rope or tie rope to their leg or some shit.
Yeah, but shit, man. Still,
but some of the pieces they do are really amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Just the talent alone, just to see that and being able to put it up that way.
Yep.
And use a spray can, paint, and able to make serious tight lines that they would be able to do with the cans. That they would hold it a certain way, or they would. They would actually burn the cap.
Right. So this way it would make
come out a little sharper. And it's crazy how they figured out all this stuff. And to me, that's not only are you making art, but you created a new art.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that goes, and then that winds up creating something else. It just keeps on going.
I know sometimes to get the thin lines, I got to layer it too. Like they put something.
Right. Yeah. And they put on top of it to go to,
right.
Yeah, man.
Tricks.
Yep. And even too, you just tag your name. You take the shoe polish bottles. And they'll put because it was the sponge top. And they would take that and tag their names real quick, or whatever. But that's it. That was the quick little bullshit, tags like that. But yeah, man. It's just so many different things as far as paint art is concerned. So many different expressions. You know what I mean? That you got to appreciate all of them.
If you got to appreciate all of them, I mean, you like what you like. You know what I mean? If you happen to see something, you go, I think that looks like shit. I'm going to say it looks like shit. I'm not going to appreciate it.
Well, no, I'm saying appreciate the time that they put into it. You know what I'm saying? For whatever it was that they make and how they make anybody else feel. That's how I'm looking at it. I hear what you're saying.
And, it's the eye of the beholder.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But either way, it could be both ways. It's not ever going to always be.
There's stuff I'm looking. I'm like, right?
We might see stuff.
It's so good.
I like it.
Yeah, I know. Not like that one, eh? No, so
but
nice.
That's the whole thing about it. We're all see it in a different perspective.
Yep,
we're looking at it from a different eye view. We can all hear the same thing, but we all hear something different. Or we should see the same thing, but we see something different.
It's just that emotion that you feel, that you see in those paintings, in the song that you hear. That was a good way to put it, Lou. I'm digging it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now you make me want to go to the museum.
I haven't been to one in a while. I would love to go.
A long time.
Yeah.
I'll stand in the center of the room and I'll just look at all the pictures from there.
Yeah.
Just do that in each room. They have our pictures and we'll not go anywhere near any pictures from Basic Experience. They might stop me at the door.
I love when they have like really weird exhibitions.
What?
When they have like really weird exhibitions that are like they're art, but they're not what you think. Like they're not classic art. There's I forget this one. It was the craziest one. It was this.
Is
machine.
It everything or is it just?
It was this machine that like swept up the oil and then it spat it back out and it swept it up and eventually the oil like was going to run out because it lubricated the motor for it.
Yeah.
And it swept it back and it it eventually is going to die. Like, so you're watching this machine that's just going to,
wow. Okay.
It's really weird. But like that, I love that kind of shit. I love when you go and there's like
there's meaning
motion
behind
type
that.
shit.
Right.
I love that type of shit. That's my favorite type of art in motion.
Well, think about it. For everybody who's seen Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Right. So when he goes and he gets to Beverly Hills and he walks into the art gallery to go find the girl he grew up with, his friend. Yeah, it was Balky. And they're showing the art gallery that he was in. And the art was these people sitting, mannequins sitting at a huge ass dining room table, with chains. Serge. And it's like,
no, serious.
Yeah, too much time for me. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? People find that to be artwork. I got you going in a Rolodex, bro. I got you.
Yes.
And
we might look at it and go, that is the strangest
that was
shit.
The craziest shit ever. Like, who's paying?
But I see what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you trying to say?
Movie hatch.
Yeah. We're all trapped. We're all being chained to this table, eating meat.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a Tom one. There you go. But
it's
even
a vegan one.
Yeah, vegan one. So, and again, it's what people will find to be interesting, captivating, a must have. For us, is just, we're going to throw out all the mannequins and have a nifty new dining room table. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For, that particular piece. But for somebody else, it's like, I got to put this in the foyer, and, it's got to look as this and as that, and it's just going to pull people in to want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't want to talk that much about it. Like, to me, that shit was just ugly. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. But again, there's so many different forms of art, visual art, whether it's from painting to sculpture, cars. Look what they do to cars when they paint cars. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. They totally take them out, man.
Yeah. You get the guys who have when they have the lowriders that do the pinstriping and stuff on the hood of the lowriders, they're putting murals up. Tattoo artists, when they come up and, like, yo, this is what I want to get as a tattoo. And they just like, got your sleeve. You know what I mean? And,
the only problem with like all the art on cars is so distracting. It's distracting. It's like,
yeah, well,
fucking car.
See that? Holy cow. Yeah, you're right. And fine, fair enough. That's the kind of shit.
I mean, that's a me problem.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but I'm glad you did. Thank you for sharing.
That's a me problem.
That's freaking hilarious, bro. But yeah, and but it's just, there were just so many forms of art, visual art.
And many different things. It's not just painting, right? It's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. That just draws you to it, draws people to it.
You even see it on TikTok and social media. There are certain artists that are on it, people who are known to be on it, and they have these certain videos that they make. But that's even art too. They took Avenue. They saw it. One of the best arts in the world is comedy. Comedy is the best for the soul.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's therapeutic, and you need it. I think that's a great art too. When you hear somebody's different interpretation, or they're saying something and you're listening to them and you're identifying them 100%, brothers, because you have children, or you grew up that way, or you had that toy, or whatever it was, and you can identify immediately.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's the truth, man. And again, it's that feeling. It pulls out those feelings. Need a tissue? But it's true. I think that's what makes the world go round.
We need more of it then.
Because you know what? When you go into an art museum and you're looking at things, and there's a bunch of you guys, a bunch of people, bunch of us, whatever, that are standing there and looking at the same painting, and you can see everybody's having a different thought, but everybody's there together. It's that piece. And like, Sometimes it strikes up conversation. I don't know. Do I see this? Do you see that? Is it like this? Is it like that? You know what I mean? And what does it do for you? That's what, same thing for music.
Yeah. I haven't been to an art museum in years, I think, but I have. Yeah, or even better on shrooms.
See, no, then you never leave. You're hiding.
To the...
No, see, I would get in trouble, though. I get kicked out like
Loaf. Natural History, right?
Exactly. Oh,
right?
Touch something.
Planetarium.
Oh, I
love Planetarium. So cool now. And they say it's even gotten better than it was when we had it. Got to go to that.
We went to the Met year before. We were at the Met during the summertime. They had the outdoor bar thing up on top.
Oh, yeah?
And it was, because matter of fact, we went during the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And they had a whole thing on that up on the rooftop. Yeah, it was freaking great.
How was it? Was it good?
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, dude. I'm like, what? What? They had this big thing. It looked almost like an open arch room kind of thing. It was crazy. And they had all the different hip hop names and artists and stuff on there, and turntables and shit. And it was almost like concrete, like when you handprints and turntable prints and stuff like that in there, a little bit of color. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, see, all that's art too, man.
Yeah, there was an Andy Warhol exhibit downstairs. I said that's where I saw the Pollocks too. They had a whole bunch of Pollocks. I think Van Gogh was another exhibit that they had there. Like, it was a big thing. It looked like they had like about 4 or 5 different big exhibits while going on at the same time, and people went through all of them. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think I would have liked that.
Yeah,
sure.
That would have been cool. So, but that is our time, my gentlemen.
All right.
Yeah. So,
as always, it's a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever the good stuff. Come back and follow us.
Yeah.
Yes. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming here, watching us. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
Keep on enjoying those arts.
Holler.